and Sanya Reno.
Good morning. I'd like to tell you a story. Last year, on an almost exactly this very day, I didn't have a ride to graduation. I didn't have a driver's license, and I still don't, I'm sorry. And all of the people who usually gave me a ride were busy or unable to pick me up in time. But the people I loved were walking across the very stage that I stand on now. I wasn't going to miss it for the world. So, with an hour and a half until the start time, and reasoning that the distance wasn't that hard, I made a decision. I walked. I don't live that far from Trinity, so it wasn't an impossible journey to make. And I had walked home from school before, so I knew I would get there with plenty of time to spare. But it was June 1st, it was hot, I hadn't eaten breakfast, and I was tired. So it will not surprise you if that disaster struck. They tell you that quicksand is not a problem you will deal with outside of movies and television shows. I'm here to tell you, they're wrong. 5 minutes later, I find myself sitting on the side of the road, crying just a little bit, waiting for a friend who saved me by answering my frantic texts, shoes covered in mud, and wondering if my reckless but loyal decision was worth it. And if you were at last year's graduation and wondering whose wet sneakers are out there drying by the summer sun, those were mine. Sorry about that. I tell you this story not because it's glamorous or brave or honorable, far from it. I tell you this story because it tells you what I want you to know about me. I make a lot of stupid but heartfelt decisions. I'm an artist, I'm a mathematician, a poet, a writer, but first and foremost, I'm a storyteller at heart. And being at Trinity has taught me that to really get to know someone, you have to know their stories. Coming to Trinity at the beginning of 9th grade was, to say the least, terrifying. It was a new school, full of strangers who had known each other before their whole lives and only knew me for a fraction of that. On the bus for the freshman class trip, I made up futures for each of my unfamiliar classmates, proposing destinies in my head to people I just met. This guy looks like he'd be a good stay-at-home dad. This girl looks like she'd take over the world. It didn't take very long for my shallow daydreams to melt away. Every person I talked to, every student I got to know were so much more deeper than what I had imagined them to be. And after 4 years, those stories have only ever grown. I know that Emily will always send me conspiracy videos at 3 a.m. when she knows I'm going to be up. And I know that Catherine will always appreciate any cat photo you show her. I know that Ariana loves the other Ariana stay single. And I know that Hiyab and Ian will always tease her for it. I know that our class has never missed an opportunity to break it down from the back row of worship, and will sometimes even run to the stage and lead us all on a rousing chorus of every praise is to our God. These are small things, yes, but they map out beautiful points in the 4-year painting that has been our high school careers. They tell our tales. Stories are at the core of who we are as people. Jesus taught in parables, not because he wanted to sound super cool and creative, but because stories are how we understand life's lessons. We break our bones, we show our worth, we go through life in stories. The class that sits before you is a mosaic of the most wonderful, heartbreaking, tear-jerking, crazy, hilarious, colorful bundle of stories I have had the pleasure of knowing. This day is going to be all about them, so I invite you all to indulge yourselves for just a moment and listen to their stories. When you hear Hope talk about art, Let yourself be moved by the warmth and love in her words. When you watch Noah on the court, or get the exciting opportunity to see Marcotis act, watch how they move as if they were born to play a role. God's light shines brightest through each and every story these graduates have. And to my fellow classmates, I will say to you, nothing has been more moving than to be surrounded by your stories these past 4 years. I will never know all of them, but I'm privileged to be able to know some. I know that there are parts of my story that you will always have with you, and there are parts of your stories that will always carry with me. We have reflected each other in the mosaics we carry around us. There's always an ending to the stories that we tell. I got to graduation in the end. Muddy shoes and all. The cast takes a bow. We will walk across the stage. Books, movies, TV shows, dreams, these will all have endings. But we do not read a novel just to see how it ends. We do not watch a musical just to see the grand finale. We experience stories because they are meant to be experienced. We tell our stories because in the process, we become them. Each and every one of you has an infinite amount of stories waiting to be told. We may spend our whole lives never uttering a single one. So I tell you this. Tell your stories, but more importantly, become them.